be showing you how to do a men's fade haircut. Sorry about the cat in the background. A lot of us are quarantined right now and stuck at home, so I am a licensed hairdresser. So I just wanted to give you guys a little tutorial on how to do a men's cut if your husband or your boyfriend or brother is in deep need of a haircut and you want to give it a go. Honestly, I would recommend waiting for your hairdresser till after this is all over, or if you do not feel comfortable, please don't attempt this. But if you are gonna do it anyway, I wanted to give you some tips and tricks on how to do the best job that you can. So we're gonna do a skin fade. We're gonna go from a 0 and fade it up to a 2, and then we're gonna scissor cut the top. So let's get started. All right, so I went ahead and put my apron on. I would definitely recommend putting an apron on if you're cutting someone's hair, because hair gets all over you and it can really stick and scratch your skin. So if you have an apron, put one on. I'm gonna put a cape on him. You don't wanna get hair all over your client. And this is my husband, by the way, if I did not say who he is. He's my lovely guinea pig. So we're gonna go over what you need real quick. You're gonna need some clippers. These are just by Wall. You can find them on Amazon. They're really not that expensive, but they do a good job. You're gonna need some guards for the haircut. I'm using no guard, half, a 1, and then a 2. And you're gonna need a comb and some scissors, and I'm also using thinning shears, blending shears to help blend the haircut. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is just comb out their hair real quick, make sure they don't have big tangles. If they have long hair, his is short, so it's good to go. And then we're gonna part their hair off. Because we are not cutting the top with the clippers, I wanna section this off until we have finished the sides with the clippers and blended it, and then because we're doing the top with the scissor cut. So this side is where he wears his hair parted, so I'm really not gonna worry about that because it's combed over to the side. But this side is the side I wanna part. So I'm kind of just going by, let's see, kind of the arches of his eyebrows. It kind of just depends on their shape of the head. Find what looks best for each person. But I'm gonna go ahead and just section this part back. All right, so now the top is sectioned up. We're gonna be clipper cutting this hair, and then we'll scissor cut this, but we just want that sectioned off out of the way. All right, so we're gonna start in the back, and then we're gonna move on to the sides as we go along with each guard of the clippers. So I'm starting with no guard because I wanna do a skin fade. These tips work for really any length of hair. If you wanna have the back of the hair longer and you wanna do, say, a 3 guard and work your way up to a 5, these techniques work the same way. So you would just put a guard on and start at the bottom, and then we'd fade our way up, which I'll be showing you how to do that, but we're doing a skin fade, so we're starting with no clipper guard on. All right, and one thing to note about the clippers that I'm using, it has this little lever on the side, which you can see moves the teeth of the clippers, and that is going to be really important with this haircut, because when you move the clipper teeth down, that gives you a half, pretty much like a half guard, and so we're going to be using that to fade the haircut. So right now I have it up, so we have, this would be just considered a 0. All right, so I'm gonna turn the clippers on. I usually just keep a comb in my hand. I'm gonna set my hand at the top of his head. It just helps me stabilize his head. And then we're gonna start at the bottom, going with the 0 and working our way up. Now towards the end, when you're ready to release the clipper from the scalp, I like to kind of flick my wrist up a little bit, and it helps start that fade. All right, so I went about an inch, maybe inch and a half up the back of his neck with no guard, and then I'm gonna turn him, and I'm going to go ahead and do that on the sides as well. I like to just work to save myself some time. I like to do the sides with the same length on the back instead of having to change my clipper guards and everything. All right, so working on the sides, we're going in with the 0, taking off those sideburns. As you can see, I'm kind of flicking that wrist up a little. Pull the ear back. We're going to go around the ears. Get all those hairs. And then I also go kind of right along the hairline right by his ear on the back with the 0 to start fading that. Okay, so we went around the back and the sides with the no guard on. And so now what I'm gonna do is move the little lever down on my clippers, so that gives me about a half guard. If you don't have the little lever on your clippers, you could just put a half guard on and that would do about the same thing. So now what I'm gonna do is turn these on and we're just gonna start diffusing this line. So again, we're going in and with a slight flick of the wrist, we're starting to diffuse that line so it can get a little bit longer. And don't worry if it's not perfect and you see about a weight line, I will be showing you how to blend those out later. So with the half guard, I'm not going up as far as I did with the 0 guard on the back of his neck, because I really am just using this as a little bit of a transition between the 0 to the half, and then we'll be going in with a 1. And then again, we'll be repeating that through the sides. So again, right behind his ear, starting to fade that up. It can look pretty scary in the process, but don't freak out. That heavy weight line will be blended out by the end of this. All right, so now I have a number 1 guard that I'm going to be putting on my clippers. I'm gonna go ahead and close this so the teeth are closed together, so we don't have that half guard. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my 1 guard on, and we're gonna keep blending. So now with the 1 guard on, again, we're repeating the same process. We are going into the hair and with that flick of the wrist, blending it up. And you can see as we do it each time, it is starting to diffuse that heavy weight line. So again, I'm going up maybe ½ inch to 1 inch into the hair with just the straight 1. And we're gonna do that on the sides. Then I'm going to, again, open this so we now have a 1.5 with our clippers, and I'm gonna go up even further. Now again, if you don't have the lever on your clippers, you are making it a little bit harder for yourself, but it's not impossible. Just go ahead and start with a 0, a half or a 1, and then a 2, and I'll be showing you how we blend out those harsh lines with our shears in a minute. All right, so we have the 0, the half, the 1, and 1.5 all faded through here. You can see we're starting to get that nice transition. I'm going in with a number 2 guard, putting that on my clippers and making sure my lever is closed. So this is a pure 2 and not a 2.5. So we're gonna go a 2 through here and then fade that up to 2.5. And then that'll be it with the clipper. So we're gonna do that on this back section and the sides. And then I'll show you how to blend with the scissors. All right, so you can see that's already starting to fade. It's not perfect, but we will finish that up with the shears, which is going to blend all of the rest of it out. All right, so we're done with the clippers, with fading that. We might go back in a little bit with the half guard on my clippers just to really blend those fine hairs right along the bed, right along the bottom to make sure we don't have any weight lines. But right now what I'm gonna do is go in with my shears and my comb, and we're gonna do what's called scissors over comb. And so what we're gonna be doing is taking the comb flat to the scalp, and we're gonna be brushing up like this. And then as you go and brush up, you're gonna start to see little hairs poke out. And so what we're gonna be doing is cutting those little hairs with our scissors right against the comb, and that's gonna start blending out any major weight lines. So we're just gonna go up. And right through the bottom, the hair is so short because we're doing a skin fade, so you're really not gonna get no hairs are really going to come through the comb, so that's why we might go in with the half guard again, just to make sure that's blended really well. So just working with the scissors here, and he kind of has a lighter spot through his hair here, but I promise that is blended. All right, so then with the sides, doing the same thing, putting the comb flush to the scalp and then working our way up. And then as you work your way up through the hair that's longer, the comb starts to move away from the scalp. It starts to lift. We're not keeping it flush the whole way, otherwise we're gonna cut too much hair off. As you can see, there's a little bit of a weight line here that I wanna try and blend, so we're going in here and blending that out. So one thing I'm going to mention, he does have a little bald spot here. That is from his sister slamming him into a wall when he was little. So I try to keep that covered, but if it shows, it's not a big deal, but I promise I did not do that. Okay, After we have blended out the sides really well with the scissors over comb, I'm gonna go through the top here, which is still a little bit too heavy. I'm gonna take the wider section of my comb. I was using the finer section, but I'm gonna go with the wider section, and we're gonna go and comb this hair up. And you can see the hair's kind of poking out, and I'm just gonna snip the ends of those off to really just start blending this hair, just like so. And then I'm gonna switch to my thinning shears, and I'm gonna go same technique that we've been using with the scissors over comb, and I'm just gonna take that through the top here, just like that, and that really just takes off that extra weight line to blend it out really smooth and seamless. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that all around through the back, like that. So we can see we still kind of have this heavier weight line, so I'm just gonna keep with my thinning shears. I like to do this through the top. All right, so I'm gonna keep with thinning shears, and we're just gonna start blending this hair up. Typically, I would not hold my comb like this and be in this angle, but I'm trying to make sure I get this on camera. So now we're just gonna keep going and keep blending until all of that looks pretty smooth and seamless. All right, so I know it looks like he has this like balding patch here, but his hair is actually kind of lighter and just a little bit more sparse. He used to wear hats a lot, so you can almost see where the hat hit, and the hair is just a little bit different. So I promise that's all blended. It just looks a little different because this part of hair is lighter. But anyway, we're gonna go through the top here. So now what I'm gonna be doing is taking kind of a vertical section of hair, using my comb, combing it out, and then you can see there's kind of this point right there, and that's what we're gonna cut out. So now we're starting to blend into the top with the scissors. So you're just gonna take vertical sections, you're gonna see there's kind of a point here, and we're gonna cut that. And that's gonna start blending that hair through the top so it's not so heavy. And again, I kind of just work back and forth between my shears and my thinning shears to blend that hair out so it's not heavy. And then I've got my thinning shears right now, so I'm gonna take that vertical section again, and I'm just going to cut that hair. It's not gonna take it all off, it's just gonna thin it out so that when I lay it down, you don't have this thick weight of hair. It just blends nice and smooth. All right, so once that's been blended to your satisfaction, again, like I said, you can go for ages trying to just blend that out and make it perfect. So keep blending until you are comfortable with it. And then I'm going to let this hair down, releasing the clips. We're gonna comb this hair down. So as you can see, we've kind of created another weight line. Some guys really like this heavy weight line. If his hair was longer, it might even come down further. Some guys like that heavy weight line, so just discuss it with whoever you're cutting their hair if they want to keep this weight line heavy. If they don't, again, what we're going to be doing is going in with those vertical sections. All right, so going in with that vertical section, let's pick up the hair with a comb. As you can see, we have a major point here. That's what we want to blend and cut out. So I'm actually going to point cut into the hair now. So we're going to point cut into that just to soften and get rid of that point, so that way when I release the hair and comb it down, it starts to blend. So we're going to do that all through this weight line here. And then if point cutting still leaves it kind of bulky and unblended, I'm going in with the thinning shears and just cut and thin those ends out, and that's going to take that weight line right out. All right, so after you've blended out kind of this weight line along the sides, the last step is to scissor cut the top. So I don't really want to take too much off. It's already pretty short. We just want to trim it up a little bit. So again, you're going to take those vertical sections, that vertical slice, but this time instead of pulling it out from the hair, we're going to pull it straight up from his scalp because it's on top, and then we're going to trim this hair. Now typically I would not be taking this angle where my body is positioned because it's not the best. I'd be standing directly behind him or directly to the side of him, but I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. So we're just gonna take that hair directly out from the scalp. You can see there's a little bit of a point right here. If you see points, you kind of want to cut those because we want this all to be straight. points usually indicate kind of a heavy, bulky weight line, so you kind of always want to trim those out. So then we're going a little bit closer towards his hairline in the front, taking the next section of hair. And typically you can use, you take a little bit of hair from the last section you cut and bring it with the next section, you just lift it up. You can usually see that you have a little bit of a guideline, and that's what you're going to follow. Alright, so we've worked our way up to the top, right by his bangs, by his hairline. Now, you want to discuss with whoever's hair you're cutting, do they want to keep this longer or shorter? If they want to keep this longer so it can kind of swoop and brush back, what you're going to do is take the hair up and you're going to pull it back towards the back of their head, and then you're going to trim those ends. And in pulling the hair back, it leaves this hair longer, that when you release it, this hair will stay longer and you'll kind of get that swoop that you want. He does not like it longer. We like his bangs pretty short. So what I'm going to do is actually comb them straight forward. So now we're kind of doing the opposite. So we're taking them forward, and I'm actually taking them slightly to the opposite direction of where he wears them. That way when they release back, they have a slight angle and it lays right. So brushing them straight forward, taking them slightly over to the other direction, and I'm just going to cut straight across. So like I said, we're taking them straight forward, combing them slightly to the opposite direction, and then cutting that hair. So then when I release them and brush them to the side, they lay how I want them to. And then after you've cut the length that you want, what you're going to do is then take the hair up and you're going to comb it up and again to the opposite direction, and then we're going to trim that hair off the top. And what that does is remove the weight and the bulk so it doesn't get too thick up here, and when you brush it, it just lays really nice and even. Alright, so when you look at his hair, you can see that it's all laying pretty flat and smooth. If you see any parts that are kind of bumping up or look really thick and bulky, again, go in with your thinning shears, comb that hair up like you did when we just trimmed the top, but you're going to comb it up, leave more hair so that you can take your thinning shears and you're just going to go snip and then release, and it's just going to take the bulk out of the hair so it lays really nice and smooth. Alright, so the one disadvantage of doing this at home and not in a salon, especially if you're a hairstylist, is that you cannot look at them with their head straight on with a mirror. And the key and the beauty of that is that you can see and make sure both sides are even, that you've blended up the same height. So what you want to do is just make sure to go ahead and look at them head on to make sure everything looks even and smooth. That looks pretty good to me. We got a nice fade through the sides. Really nice skin fade all the way up, and then we just trimmed the top.
It looks really good. Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. Alright, so that is it on how to do a men's fade. The more you do it and the more you practice, the easier it gets, but the key is really just blending out the sides. If you can get that scissor over a comb motion, you're going to be golden. So you can put a little product in their hair, spruce it up, but that's pretty much the finished result. So I'm going to give you guys a close-up and then we'll wrap this up. Guys, so that's the end of this video. I hope this helped you learn some tips and tricks on how to do a men's haircut and men's fade. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and we will see you in our next video. Bye!